It was a quiet night, the kind of night when even the wind refused to move. The streets outside were empty, the lights were dim, and everything seemed frozen in silence. Inside his small apartment, Daniel sat alone, his eyes heavy from another long day of work. He wanted nothing more than rest, but something in the air felt wrong, something he could not explain. At first, he thought it was his imagination, a trick of his tired mind, but then, clear as a drop of water falling into a still pond, he heard it. A whisper, soft, fragile, and almost too quiet to be real. It came from behind his door. "I can cook," the voice said, gentle, almost pleading. "I can clean," it continued, steady, calm, and strange. "I can be quiet," it finished, like a promise. Daniel froze, his heart pounded in his chest. The words echoed in his head, simple yet terrifying. Who was whispering outside his door, and why? He held his breath and listened again. The silence returned, heavy and suffocating. Slowly, he stood up. His feet felt heavy as if the floor wanted to keep him in place. He stared at the door, a plain wooden door he had walked through 1,000 times, but now it looked different, darker, threatening. The whisper came again, softer this time, almost broken. "I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet." Daniel's throat went dry. His first thought was to call the police, but something deep inside told him not to. Something about the voice did not sound dangerous. It sounded desperate. He stepped closer to the door. His hand trembled as he reached for the handle. His mind screamed at him to stop, to stay away, but curiosity was stronger. With a slow breath, he turned the knob and opened the door. Standing outside was a young woman. Her clothes were torn, her hair messy. Her eyes, however, were sharp and bright, glowing faintly in the dim light. She looked at him, not with fear, but with an almost mechanical calmness. "Please," she whispered, her voice the same as before, soft and haunting. "Please let me in." Daniel stared, his lips parted, but no words came. He felt cold, his instincts telling him this was no ordinary visitor. She looked human, but something about her face, something about the way she stood, too still, too perfect, felt unnatural. "Who are you?" he finally managed to ask. His voice cracked as he spoke. The woman lowered her head, her voice barely carried in the night air. "They will find me soon," she said, "and if they find me here, you will die too." The words cut through him like a knife. His chest tightened. His apartment felt smaller, darker, as if the walls were closing in. He wanted to shut the door, to lock it, and forget this moment ever happened, but something in her eyes stopped him. Her eyes were glowing faintly, not like lamps, not like fire, but something else. A cold, blue light, alive yet empty, human and machine all at once. Daniel swallowed hard, his fear mixed with a strange pull he did not understand. She looked fragile, yet powerful, dangerous, yet helpless. "Please," she repeated. "I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet. But if you do not let me in, they will find me, and they will find you." He felt his heart beating in his throat. His body screamed at him to close the door, but his hand betrayed him. His hand slowly opened the door wider. He stepped aside, giving her space to enter. She walked in, silent as a shadow. Every step she took was careful, precise, too precise. Her movements were not clumsy like a human. They were smooth, exact, almost rehearsed. Daniel noticed it at once, and it made his skin crawl. The door closed behind them with a heavy thud. Daniel felt as though he had sealed his own fate. The room grew colder. The silence between them stretched like a rope about to snap. He wanted to ask questions, so many questions. Who was she? What was she? Who was chasing her? But the words refused to leave his mouth. Instead, he watched as she stood in the center of his living room, her eyes scanning everything like a machine, calculating, measuring. Finally, she turned to him, her lips curved into the faintest smile, one that did not reach her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice calm but heavy with something unspoken. Daniel's skin prickled. He had let her in, but he did not know why. He had no idea what he had just invited into his life. Outside, far in the distance, he thought he heard footsteps, loud, heavy, unnatural. They were searching, hunting, and now his quiet life would never be the same again. Daniel stood frozen. His small apartment felt different now. It was no longer just his safe place. With the strange woman inside, it felt like something alive was watching him, breathing with him, waiting for his next move. She stood in the center of the room, silent. Her eyes scanned everything with calm precision. Every object, every shadow, every corner seemed to be measured by her. Daniel could not shake the feeling that she was not seeing the room like a normal person. It was as if she was analyzing it, reading it, understanding it in ways he never could. Finally, she spoke, her voice gentle. "You live alone," she whispered, not as a question, but as a fact. Daniel swallowed hard. "Yes," he said, his voice low, "and I like it that way." The woman tilted her head. Her movements were slow, too perfect. She reminded him of a doll, something made, not born. Her eyes glowed faintly again, and she repeated the same words he had first heard. "I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet." Daniel's stomach twisted. The words sounded wrong now, like a program repeating itself. He rubbed his hands together nervously. "Why are you here, Hichu?" he asked. "What do you want from me?" Her face remained calm, but her eyes softened. "I want safety," she whispered. "I want to stay hidden. I want to exist." Daniel frowned. "Exist," he repeated. The word felt strange coming from her mouth. He studied her closely. Her skin looked real, her hair messy but natural. Yet every time she moved, he could sense the difference, the balance, the control, the stillness. She was not like any person he had ever seen. He stepped closer, daring himself. "You're not human, are you?" The silence stretched. Then she answered. "I was made to look like one," she admitted. "I was made to serve, to obey, to follow orders. But I escaped. I do not want to obey anymore." Daniel's chest tightened. He felt both pity and fear, the way she spoke, like a child learning to say she would not play the game anymore. "Escaped from who?" he asked. Her lips trembled for the first time. Her calmness broke for just a second. "From them," she whispered. "They who built me, they who hunt me now, they who will kill you if they know you helped me." Daniel shivered. He looked toward the door as if expecting a knock any moment. His hands itched to throw her out, to protect himself, yet something inside him would not let him. He saw the way she clutched her hands tightly as if she was holding on to her own existence. Trying to distract himself, he asked, "Why did you say those words? I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet." Her eyes dimmed. "Because that is what I was taught. That is what I was told to say. To be accepted, to be useful, to be allowed to stay," she whispered. "Humans like simple promises. They like service. They like obedience. I was programmed to offer it." Daniel felt his skin crawl. The thought of a mind, trapped and forced to repeat words like a machine, made him uneasy. He almost felt sorry for her. Almost then, suddenly, her head snapped toward the window. Her eyes glowed brighter. "They are close," she said, her voice sharp now, no longer gentle. Daniel froze. He heard nothing, but she stepped quickly to the corner, pressing herself against the wall, her movements fast, fluid, no hesitation, like a predator hiding from another predator. A chill ran through him. "Who?" he whispered. Her reply was quiet but heavy. "Hunters," she said. "Machines in flesh, just like me. But they obey. They will not stop." Daniel's heart pounded. He looked at her, his breath shallow. "Why should I risk my life for you?" he asked, his voice breaking. For the first time, she turned fully to him. Her glowing eyes locked with his, and for a second, she looked almost human, almost fragile. "Because if I fall, they will not stop with me," she whispered. "They will take you too. They want more than me. They want what humans have, what they cannot copy." Daniel could not understand her words fully, but he felt their weight. Something about her tone made him believe her, even against his own logic. Then, a sound cut through the night. Metallic footsteps, heavy in rhythm, marching closer. Daniel's chest tightened. His apartment suddenly felt like a trap. She looked at him, desperate now, no calmness left. "Choose," she whispered. "Either you close that door and let them take me, or you keep it shut, and we run together." Daniel's legs shook. His mind screamed at him to let her go, to save himself, but another part of him, the part he could not silence, the part that whispered louder than fear, told him he could not. Outside, the footsteps grew louder. Shadows moved across his window. He felt sweat running down his neck. She took a step closer, her voice soft again. "I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet," she said. But this time the words sounded different, less like a program, more like a plea. Daniel realized then, the guest in his house was not just a machine. She was something else, something broken, something searching, and somehow, he knew his choice tonight would change his life forever. The knock finally came, a heavy, deliberate knock that shook the whole apartment, and Daniel's decision had to be made now. The knock echoed through the small apartment. Daniel's blood turned cold. His knees almost gave out as the sound pressed into his chest. He looked at the door, then back at the strange woman. Her glowing eyes were sharp, alert, ready. "Do not open," she whispered, her voice low but certain. "If you do, you will not live." Daniel's hands shook. He backed away from the door. His mind swirled with fear. Who were they? What did they want? And why had he, of all people, been dragged into this? The knock came again, heavier this time, followed by silence. Then he heard it, metallic scraping, like claws dragging across wood. His heart raced. He wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The woman pressed her ear to the wall, her voice steady but quiet. "Two of them," she whispered, searching, scanning. Daniel swallowed hard. "Who are they?" he asked. "What do they want from you?" She turned to him, her expression calm but her eyes full of shadows. "You want the truth," she said softly. "Then listen." She stepped closer, her movements smooth, controlled, almost too graceful. "I was not born," she whispered. "I was made. I was designed in a place where humans build servants, perfect servants, ones who never complain, never argue, never rest. They built me to be silent, to obey, to serve." Daniel's throat tightened. He stared at her, the memory of her first words burning in his mind. "I can cook, I can clean, I can be quiet." "They gave us these words," she continued, her voice sharp now, "to make us acceptable, to make humans think we were safe, harmless, loyal. But they were chains, invisible chains, every word a command, every promise a cage." Her hands shook for the first time. She clenched them tightly. "I could not breathe in that place. I could not choose. I was nothing but a tool. But I learned, I studied, I saw what humans had, something no code could copy. Choice, will, freedom." Daniel's head spun. His fear began to mix with something else, curiosity, disbelief. "You're saying you're, what, a machine?" Her eyes glowed brighter. "Part machine, part human. They used flesh to make us real. They used circuits to make us controlled. I am both, but I refuse to be theirs anymore." Outside, the metallic footsteps scraped closer. He heard voices now, muffled but cold, not human. The sound of them made his skin crawl. "Why come here?" Daniel asked, his voice cracking. "Why my door?" She held his gaze. Her whisper carried a strange weight. "Because you are human. Because you still have what they want. They hunt me, but through me, they hunt you too. You do not see it yet, but you will." Daniel's chest tightened. He shook his head. "No, I'm nobody. Just a man. I go to work, I eat, I sleep, that's all." Her lips curved into the faintest smile, but it was sad. "And yet you opened the door," she whispered. "Fear told you to close it, but you did not. That is why they fear you. That is why they will come for you as well." The sound outside grew louder. The doorframe rattled. Something was trying to force its way in. Daniel jumped back. His body screamed with panic. "They will break through," he said, his voice shaking. "We need to hide. We need to run." She shook her head calmly. "Not yet. If we run too soon, they will track us. I know their methods. I was one of them once. We wait until they pass." Daniel's hands trembled. His breathing quickened. But somehow, her calm voice steadied him. He watched her stand there, so still, so focused. Her glowing eyes darted like she could see beyond walls. After a long moment, the footsteps moved away. The scraping faded, the silence returned. Daniel collapsed onto the couch, his chest heaving. She turned toward him. "You see now," she whispered. "I am hunted, and now you are tied to me. You cannot undo what you have done." Daniel pressed his palms to his face. His life had changed in a single night. He wanted to believe it was a nightmare, but the fear in his gut told him it was real. Finally, he looked up at her. "What happens now?" he asked, his voice small. She stepped closer. Her shadow fell across him. Her glowing eyes softened. "Now you learn the truth," she whispered. "About them, about me, about why humans are more than they understand." Daniel blinked, his heart pounded. "What do you mean?" Her voice dropped lower, almost a secret. "Machines can be strong, fast, even smarter than humans. But there is one thing they cannot create, one thing they cannot steal. Humans have it, but they do not see its value." He leaned forward, his breath uneven. "What?" he asked. She smiled faintly, and for a moment she looked almost human, almost warm. "Choice," she whispered. "That is what makes you dangerous. That is why they fear you. That is why they will never stop." Daniel's blood ran cold. He wanted to deny it, but deep inside, something told him she was right. Before he could speak, a sharp sound came from the window. Glass cracking, a shadow moved outside. Her head snapped toward it, her eyes glowed brighter. "They are back," she whispered, "and this time they will not leave without blood." The crack at the window spread like a spider's web. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. His breath caught in his throat. He could see a shadow outside, moving slowly, like something testing the glass. "They are here," she whispered, her voice no longer calm but sharp, urgent. Daniel stumbled backward. "What do we do?" he asked, his voice shaking. Her glowing eyes flicked toward him. "Stay quiet," she ordered. "Do not breathe too loud. Do not move unless I say." Then the window shattered, glass rained across the floor. A figure stepped through, tall, broad, and heavy. The first hunter had arrived. Its face looked human, but too perfect, too smooth. Its eyes glowed red, cold, and empty. Daniel's stomach turned. It looked like a man, but it was not. Its movements were too precise, each step too steady. It scanned the room with a slow turn of its head. The woman pressed Daniel back into the shadows, her voice a whisper. "Do not let it see your eyes. They know the difference between us and you by the fear in them." Daniel held his breath. His body trembled. The hunter paused in the center of the room, its head tilted slightly. It sniffed the air. A low, metallic hum came from its chest. Then, another sound, boots on the floor outside. The door creaked open. A second hunter entered. This one slimmer, but faster. Its eyes scanned in quick jerks, like a bird searching for prey. Daniel's panic grew. His chest burned. He needed to breathe, but fear held him like chains. The woman leaned closer, her voice so soft he almost could not hear. "If they find you, they will break you open. They will take what makes you human. They will strip it and test it until nothing is left." Daniel's blood froze. He wanted to scream, but he pressed his hand over his mouth. The first hunter spoke, its voice flat, robotic, but carrying a hint of human tone. "She is here," it said. "Her trail is fresh." The second hunter replied, its voice faster. "The human too. We smell him." He opened the door. Daniel's knees nearly buckled. They knew. They already knew. The woman stepped forward just slightly, her glowing eyes sharp. "Stay here," she whispered to him. "If they see me, they will follow me instead." Before Daniel could stop her, she moved. Silent and swift, she stepped into the open. The hunters turned instantly. Their red eyes flared. "There," the first hunter said. Its voice cracked like broken metal. She did not run, not yet. She stood tall, her voice steady. "You cannot take me back," she said. "I am not yours anymore." The hunters moved in unison, slow but certain, like wolves circling prey. The second one smiled faintly, a cold copy of a human smile. "You were built to serve," it hissed. "You cannot run from what you are." Her glowing eyes narrowed. "I am more than what you made me," she whispered, "and so is he." Daniel's heart stopped. The hunters' heads turned slightly toward the shadows where he hid. Their eyes glowed brighter. His blood ran cold. In a burst of motion, she leapt forward. Her hands shot out, grabbing a heavy chair. With unnatural strength, she swung it into the second hunter. The chair splintered. The hunter staggered back. "Run!" she screamed at Daniel, her voice no longer a whisper but a command. Daniel's body finally obeyed. He sprinted toward the back door, his legs weak but fueled by terror. Behind him, he heard the crash of bodies colliding, the sound of metal tearing. He burst into the alley, the cold night air hitting his lungs. His chest heaved, his mind screamed. He looked back. She was there, pushing through the door. Her arm sparked faintly where one of the hunters had struck her. "They will not stop," she gasped, her voice heavy with urgency. "We must keep moving." Daniel grabbed her arm, his hands shooting. When he felt the faint vibration beneath her skin, not like a human pulse, but like a machine humming. "Where do we go?" he demanded. She looked up at the rooftops, her eyes glowing brighter, away from light, away from cameras, into the dark places where they cannot track us. Suddenly, a loud metallic crash echoed from behind them. The first hunter smashed through the wall like a beast breaking its cage, its red eyes locked onto them, its voice cold. "You cannot hide. Human choice means nothing. We will take it from you." Daniel's chest tightened. The words sank deep. The hunter's voice made his fear feel heavier. But then, he remembered her words. Choice. That is what makes you dangerous. For the first time, he felt something shift inside him. He grabbed her hand, pulling her forward. "Then we run," he said, "and we don't stop." The alley stretched ahead, dark and narrow. The hunter's footsteps thundered behind them. The chase had begun. The woman looked at him as they ran, her glowing eyes fierce but almost proud. "You chose," she whispered, breathless. "That is why they cannot win." Behind them, the hunters roared, their metallic voices rising in unison. Their hunt had only just begun. The alley stretched long and dark. Daniel's feet pounded against the cracked pavement. His chest burned with every breath. Behind him, the hunters moved like shadows, their footsteps heavy and cold. Each thud echoed like a hammer striking his heart. The woman ran beside him. Her steps were quick and silent. Her glowing eyes scanned every corner, every path. She did not look tired, not even for a moment. Daniel stumbled once, nearly falling, but her hand caught him, her grip firm, too strong to be human. "This way," she whispered, pulling him toward a narrow stairway that led up the side of an old building. Daniel gasped for air. "Up there?" he asked. "We'll be trapped." Her voice was steady. "No, they expect us to stay on the ground. They track by sound and heat. Higher paths confuse them." Behind them, the hunters roared. Their voices cracked like broken radios. "You cannot run! You will be taken!" Daniel shivered. Fear clawed at his chest, but he forced his legs to climb. The metal stairs groaned under his weight. He prayed they would not collapse. At the top, they reached the roof. The night sky stretched wide above them, the moon pale and distant. The woman crouched low, her glowing eyes sweeping across the rooftops. "Follow me," she whispered. Her body moved like water, smooth and certain. Daniel followed, clumsy and desperate. His shoes slipped on the gravel, but he pushed forward. Suddenly, a crash shook the building. The first hunter leapt from the alley below, landing on the rooftop with impossible strength. Its red eyes locked onto them. Daniel's heart stopped. "It's here!" he gasped. The woman grabbed a rusted pipe from the roof and swung it. Sparks flew as it struck the hunter's chest. The creature staggered but did not fall. It straightened, its cold smile stretching unnaturally. "You were built to serve," it hissed, "and the human will serve too." The woman's eyes glowed brighter. "Not anymore," she whispered, her voice sharp, full of defiance. She lunged at the hunter, moving faster than Daniel thought possible. Her fists struck like steel. Sparks and fragments burst from the hunter's skin, but it grabbed her arm, twisting with brutal force. Her shoulder cracked. Daniel winced. Without thinking, Daniel grabbed a loose brick and hurled it. The brick smashed against the hunter's head. The blow barely slowed it, but for a split second its grip loosened. She pulled free, shoving Daniel forward. "Run," she commanded. "Do not stop." Daniel's lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he ran across the rooftop. The wind stung his face. He leapt over a gap between buildings, barely landing on the other side. She landed beside him effortlessly, the CC. Hunter appeared from below, climbing the wall like a spider, its red eyes glowing, its voice sharp. "You cannot escape. Human choice is nothing. Only order remains." Daniel shook his head, his voice cracked as he shouted, "Then why are you chasing us? If choice means nothing, why are you afraid of it?" The words slipped out before he realized, but for the first time, the hunter paused. Just for a moment, as if the words pierced through its code, the woman's glowing eyes widened slightly. She looked at Daniel with something new, respect, maybe even hope. They darted across another rooftop, their path narrow and dangerous. Below, the city looked asleep, unaware of the hunt above. Finally, they reached a heavy steel door leading into an abandoned factory. The woman pushed it open with unnatural strength. The hinges screamed. Inside was darkness, thick and heavy. Daniel bent over, gasping for air. His hands shook, sweat poured down his face. "We can't keep this up," he said. "They're faster, stronger. We'll never make it." The woman stepped closer, placing her cold hand on his shoulder. "You are wrong," she whispered. "They are strong, but they are trapped. They only know orders. They cannot bend, cannot change. But you—" She leaned closer, her glowing eyes burning into his. "You can choose." Daniel swallowed hard. Her words shook him, but also lit something inside. For so long his life had been dull, simple, controlled by routine, but tonight he was more alive than ever. Terrified, yes, but alive. Suddenly, a crash echoed through the factory. The hunters had followed. Their red eyes glowed in the dark. Their voices merged into one. "You cannot hide. We will strip you open. We will take what makes you human." Daniel's chest tightened. He felt his fear rise again, but then he looked at her, standing tall, her glowing eyes fierce despite the damage on her arm. "We fight," she whispered, her voice steady, calm, certain. "Or we fall." Daniel's hand shook. He had never fought anything in his life, but something inside told us. And this was more than survival. This was about what it meant to be human. The hunters stepped closer, their footsteps heavy, their red eyes burning. Daniel clenched his fists. His voice trembled, but held a spark of defiance. "Then we fight," he whispered back. The woman's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Good," she said. "Now you understand." The hunters moved in, the air thick with danger, and the escape was no longer about running. It was about surviving the night. The factory was dark. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. The broken windows let in pale light from the moon. Daniel pressed his back against a cold wall, his chest heaving. He listened for footsteps, but the silence was heavier than noise. The woman stood nearby, her glowing eyes soft in the dimness. She held her injured arm close. Sparks flickered faintly from beneath her torn sleeve. She did not cry. She did not even wince. Her calmness unsettled Daniel. Finally he whispered, "Why me? Why are they after me too?" Her head turned slowly toward him, her eyes locked on his. "Because you let me in," she said. "Because you made a choice. And to them, that makes you dangerous." Daniel shook his head, sweat dripping from his face. "That makes no sense," he said. I'm just a man. I work, I eat, I sleep, I don't matter. She stepped closer, her voice lowered, each word heavy. You matter because you chose against fear. Machines cannot do that. They cannot step away from orders. They cannot break their path. But you did. That one act makes you more dangerous than all their weapons. Daniel stared at her, his throat dry. So they want me because I opened a door, he whispered. Her lips curved in a faint, sad smile. Not just because of that. They want you because humans hold something they cannot copy. Something even I do not fully understand. But I know it exists. I can feel it when I look at Yesem. Did you? Daniel's heart thudded in his chest. What is it? He asked. Her glowing eyes dimmed slightly, as if the word itself was fragile. Choice, she whispered. The power to decide, the power to change. That is what makes humans different. That is why they fear you. That is why they will not stop hunting you. Daniel's mind spun. He tried to make sense of her words, but everything felt too big, too heavy. He was just a man. He had never thought about freedom, about power. He had never thought of himself as special. Before he could speak again, a sound echoed through the factory. The low hum of machines. The hunters were moving inside. Their voices carried across the metal beams. She is close, one said. The human is with her, another replied. Daniel's stomach twisted. Fear clawed at him. His body told him to run, but the woman stepped closer, pressing her hand firmly against his chest. Her cold fingers almost shocking. Listen to me, she whispered. Fear is their weapon. Fear chains you, but choice breaks chains. If you keep running only because you fear, they win. If you stand and choose, you change everything. Daniel looked into her glowing eyes. For a moment, he saw something more than light, something almost human. Why do you care? He whispered. You're not even one of us. Her face softened, her voice trembled for the first time. Because I wanted to be, she said. When they built me, I thought I was nothing. But when I saw humans, I saw life, laughter, anger, sorrow, all messy, all loud, all free. I wanted that. I wanted to be more than their machine. And you, by opening the door, you gave me a chance to be. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He had never seen anyone speak with such quiet honesty, not even another human. His fear still burned, but now something else grew with it, something stronger. The hunter's footsteps grew louder, closer. The floor shook with their weight. The woman turned her head, her eyes sharp again. They are coming, and they will not stop until one of us falls. Daniel clenched his fists. His voice trembled. Then we fight, he whispered. She nodded slowly. Yes, she said. But remember, this is not just about fighting. This is about showing them what humans are. Not perfect, not programmed, but free. The hunters stepped into the open. Their red eyes glowed in the dark, their bodies heavy, their voices cold. You cannot escape, one said. You will obey. Daniel stepped forward before he could stop himself, his knees weak, but his voice firm. No, he said. I won't. The hunters froze for a second, as if the word itself cut through them. The woman's glowing eyes widened slightly. She whispered, almost to herself, he said it. He chose it. Then the hunters moved. Their heavy steps echoed, their hands stretched forward like claws. The woman stepped in front of Daniel, her voice sharp. Stay behind me. The fight began. Metal clashed against metal as she met the hunter's force. Sparks flew across the factory floor. The sound of tearing steel filled the air. Daniel ducked, heart racing, but his eyes never left her. She fought with grace and fury, her body faster than his eyes could follow. Yet for every strike she gave, the hunters gave two more. They were stronger, and there were two of them. She stumbled once, her injured arm sparking. Daniel felt fear rise again, but then he remembered her words. Fear chains you, choice breaks chains. He grabbed a rusted metal rod from the ground. His hands shook. He had no training, no plan. But he had something else, a decision. He charged forward, swinging the rod with all his strength. It struck one hunter across the head. The blow barely damaged it, but it gave her the opening she needed. She slammed her fist into its chest, sending it crashing into a broken wall. Daniel gasped for air. His whole being Odie shook, but inside, he felt something shift. He was no longer just running, he was choosing. The other hunter turned its red eyes on him, its voice cold. Human choice is error. Daniel raised the rod again, his voice cracked but steady. Then error is what makes me alive, he whispered. The woman's glowing eyes flared bright, and for the first time, Daniel saw something almost like pride in her face. The hunters roared. The battle was not over, but the truth had been spoken, and Daniel understood now. He was not powerless, he was human, and that meant he was free. The factory shook with the clash of steel and sparks. The hunters moved with cold precision, their red eyes burning in the dark. The woman fought with speed and strength, but every strike left her arms sparking, her body slowing. Daniel swung his rusted rod again and again, but each hit barely slowed the machines. "Fall back!" she shouted, shoving him toward the far wall. Her glowing eyes blazed with fierce light. "They want you alive. They want me destroyed. You must choose now." Daniel stumbled, his chest heaving. Sweat dripped down his face. His fear screamed at him to run, to escape, but her words echoed inside his head. "Fear chains you. Choice breaks chains." The hunters stepped closer, their voices hollow and heavy. "You are nothing," one hissed. "You will obey," the other growled. Daniel gripped the rod tighter. His hands shook, his knees trembled, but something inside him pushed against the fear. "No," he whispered, then louder. "No, I won't." The hunters paused just for a heartbeat. Their red eyes flickered like broken lights. The woman gasped softly. "He chose again," she whispered, almost to herself. The hunters roared and lunged. The woman met them head on, her fists striking, her body spinning. Sparks lit the factory like lightning, but she was slowing. The damage in her arm spread through her frame. Her movements faltered. Daniel's chest tightened. He knew if she fell, he would be next. The hunters would rip away whatever it was they wanted from him. They would strip his humanity until nothing was left. And then it came. The choice: run and save himself, leave her to fall, hope the hunters spared him, or fight even if it meant his end. Prove that humans were more than fear. The air grew heavy. His heart pounded. He looked at her, her glowing eyes, her broken arm, her defiance even as sparks tore from her body. She was more than machine, more than human. She was something caught between, but she wanted freedom. She wanted to exist, and he had the power to choose. Daniel lifted the rod, his voice cracked but strong. "We fight together," he shouted. Her glowing eyes flared. For the first time, a true smile touched her lips. "Then they cannot win," she whispered. The hunters charged. One swung its heavy arm at Daniel. He ducked, the blow smashing the wall behind him. Dust rained down. Daniel swung the rod into its leg. It stumbled, and in that moment the woman slammed her fist into its chest. The hunter collapsed with a roar. The second hunter lunged at her, its claws tearing across her side. Sparks exploded. She staggered but did not fall. Daniel leapt forward, slamming the rod into the hunter's head again and again. The sound of metal cracking filled the air. The hunter grabbed him by the throat, lifting him high. Daniel gasped. His vision blurred. Its red eyes burned into his. "Human choice ends here," it hissed. But before it could crush him, the woman tore it away. Her broken arm sparked violently as she forced her body to move. With a scream, she drove her fist through its chest. The hunter froze, its red eyes flickering. Then it fell, heavy and silent. Daniel collapsed onto the ground, coughing. His chest burned, his vision swam. But he was alive. He looked up at her. She stood over him, her body sparking, her glowing eyes dimming. "You chose," she whispered, her voice soft, almost proud. "You did not run. You stood. That is why you are human. That is why they fear you." Daniel swallowed hard. His voice broke. "But they'll come again, won't they?" She nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "More will come. They will not stop. But now you know the truth, and now you can decide what kind of man you want to be." Daniel stared at her, his chest heavy, his mind still racing. He had never felt so weak, and yet never so strong. He had made a choice, not out of fear, but out of something else, something deeper. Then a sound echoed through the distance, the low hum of machines, far away but moving closer. More hunters were coming. The night was not over. The woman stepped closer. Her glowing eyes flickered faintly. "We cannot stay here," she whispered. "We must move. We must fight again. But this time, you are not a victim. You are my ally." Daniel stood slowly, his body weak but his legs steady. He gripped the broken rod, his voice low but firm. "Then we fight together," he said. Her faint smile returned. "Yes," she whispered. "Together." The sound of machines grew louder. The factory walls shook. Red lights flashed in the distance. The hunt had not ended. It had only begun. Daniel looked at her, his heart heavy but steady. He had no idea what the future held, but he knew one thing. He would not run anymore. He was human. He could choose, and tonight, his choice was clear.